Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon, and contact Dayspring Discussions on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Well guys, happy Tuesday. It is a bright and sunny day here in Austin, Texas. Got a little bit of rain this weekend. More rain is on the way. Kind of sucks, but we'll enjoy the weather while we can. Guys, got a lot of stuff to talk about. Of course, I'm probably going to end up spending most of this episode talking Game of Thrones. Quite the episode we got, and with only one more left in the series, it's interesting to see how they're going to wrap it all up really so quickly, I think. But I'll get to that in a few minutes, guys. A couple things I want to talk about first. Yesterday was X-Men Day. Now, really, I think it's kind of a promotional push by Fox and Marvel to bring attention to Dark Phoenix that's coming out, and it's less than a month away. You see a lot of stuff on social media. Actors who played in the movies kind of saying thank you for their roles. You had comic book creators and stuff posting stuff. And of course, tickets went on sale for Dark Phoenix yesterday, except Alamo Drafthouse. What's up with that, okay? I want to go see it in the Draft House. That's, where my wife wants to go see it. But tickets aren't on sale yet. I don't know why. AMC, Cinemark, they're all on sale, but not for Alamo Draft House, which is very weird. But as soon as they go on sale, of course, I'm going to get my tickets to go see that. I've already started my rewatch of the X-Men films. Sunday, I sat down and started with First Class. I'm going in chronological order. Stay with me on this, okay? First Class obviously takes place, first, it's in the name, back in the 60s. Then you have Wolverine Origins, which I think is along the 80s. Then you got X1 through 3. Then you have the Wolverine film. Now here's where it gets murky with Days of Future Past with the time reset. The future in Days of Future Past is pretty much the future from the films that have come before it, as far as the X films, Wolverine Origins, etc. 1973 was the 1973 that was the normal one until Wolverine went back in time and reset it. So when he did that, he basically erased the three X-Men films, Wolverine Origins and the Wolverine. Basically everything from 1973 to the current future. So First Class, that is 63, still counts in the new origin story. Then you got X-Men Apocalypse, the two Deadpool films, and Logan. Given that the Deadpool films and Logan came out after Days of Future Past, I'm assuming they're part of the new timeline. So now, First Class, the past of Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, Deadpool 1 and 2, and Logan, those are the ones that actually count now. Technically, all of the rest are erased, so that's why I'm watching those ones, original timeline, first, I guess you would say. And then, of course, I'll end it with Logan. But I've started my X-Men films rewatch. Some of them I don't like, some of them I do. But I'm just going to watch all of them again just in honor of getting ready for Dark Phoenix, guys. If you are doing a rewatch or how are you celebrating getting ready for Phoenix, let me know. Fire back on the Facebook group and Twitter account. And, of course, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Okay, next up, a couple of quick things. Detective Pikachu came out this weekend in theaters. I am planning on seeing it tonight. So on Thursday's show, I'll give you my review of it, let you know what I think about it. It didn't make as much as Avengers Endgame on its third weekend. Came close, though, from what I hear. But Endgame is still number one. Pikachu, I heard it's okay. I haven't heard it's bad. I haven't heard it's great. I heard it's okay. So I'm going to go see it tonight, and I'll let you know what I think about it on Thursday. Also, yesterday, we got our first trailer for the new Maleficent film starring Angelina Jolie. This one, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, is a sequel to the previous film that came out several years ago. I wasn't a huge fan of the first Maleficent film. I thought Angelina Jolie did a good job in the film, but the film itself I thought wasn't great. I know it made a lot of money, so that's why they're doing a sequel. I'm not a big fan, though. I mean, this film, the original one, came out when there were a lot of villain origin stories coming, and they still are actually, but I don't like villain origin stories, especially one of Maleficent, who is probably one of the most evil Disney villains ever, and they try to make her sympathetic, and I get it, same thing they're doing with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker film. They're showing the origins of a villain and how a good person can turn bad. I get it, and that kind of bleeds into Game of Thrones coming up as well. But I don't really care, honestly. I don't care about this film at all. I probably will wait for Blu-ray to watch it. I'm not going to go see it in theaters, mainly because of the way I feel about the first film. But it's cool. They got of course, Angelina Jolie's back, Elle Fanning is back, and then they got Michelle Pfeiffer in there. Gotta love Michelle Pfeiffer always. So it could be okay. I mean, we'll see how the story goes. If it gets great buzz, maybe I'll go see it in theaters. But otherwise, like I said, I'm going to wait for Blu-ray to watch it. So, but if you guys like the trailer, if you're excited for it, of course, fire back and let me know. I'm on IMDb right now. It looks like Chiwetel Ejiofor is going to be in it. He doesn't have a character listed, so that's a little secretive. But, he's in it. He's a great actor. Could be good. Let me know, guys. All right, let's get to the meat of it. The one thing, of course, everyone's talking about, Game of Thrones. Guys, we got one episode left, 80 minutes to wrap everything up. And this latest episode, The Bells, is quite controversial when it comes among the fans. I feel it's like The Last Jedi of Game of Thrones, where it's really the audience is split in half, okay? And I'm going to be making a lot of Star Wars references, of course. I make Star Wars references in my everyday life all the time. Why should this be any different? But you're going to have to just bear with me on that when I compare these two things. But sat down Sunday, of course. I watched the episode. And my favorite thing to do afterwards is go on Twitter and watch people's reactions and talk about it. Because usually I don't get to talk much of Game of Thrones. Lisa doesn't watch it. No one else in my house watches it. I'll either text a friend of mine afterwards and we'll talk a little, or I'll, go online on Twitter and make a couple comments and stuff like that. But people on Twitter were so upset with this week's episode. And a lot of them were talking about how this is totally out of left field, it's bad writing, it's sexist, and I'm sorry, but what the hell are you people smoking, okay? Have you not been watching Game of Thrones these last 7 years, okay? How do you think any of this is actually plausible as far as your reactions, okay? Justified? I mean, okay, I'm trying not to get too, insulting, because I don't mean to do it, okay? Everyone's feelings are their own. Art is very subjective, of course. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions. But for me, I'm a type of guy like, you can have your opinions, but give me reasonable, justified opinions, okay? Let's just go off the top, okay? Dany. Daenerys Targaryen is the Mad Queen. Okay, she burned down King's Landing, okay? And honestly, I'm not surprised. I mean, after what happened at the end of the last episode and what, has happened to her in her life, I'm not surprised at all, honestly. I mean, people saying this comes out of left field, it's not part of her character, they ruined her character. Have you been paying attention, okay? Every time a person has defied her, she has burned them, okay? Which, she's a conqueror, that's, kind of the job description. But when she got to Westeros, she wanted to go in and take him out. And Tyrion and her advisor said, no, you shouldn't do that. But this is a character now who has lost almost everyone she's cared about. She has felt betrayed by everyone, okay? She feel like her claim to the throne, the thing that she's been working for years, that she has gotten to her head that she deserves, is gone. So this is a character who, has lost everything. And, when you got nothing to lose, you get a little crazy is what it is. And that's what happened, really. And I'm not surprised by it at all, okay? I get it. She was a great character, she seemed like this really good person. I think ever since she, made the trip across to Westeros, you could feel what she was, building towards, Really? I mean, especially in that scene where she burned Sam's dad and brother, and Tyrion begged her not to, and she did it anyway. You saw that little, even more glimpses of her and what she was going to become. Of course, you go back to the vision that everyone's pointed at back in season 2, where she's in the throne room and it looks like snow. Some people are saying it's ash now. I don't know. I mean, it still looks like a little bit like snow to me, especially since afterwards she goes out and she's on the other side of the wall. I mean, I think the snow reference is better. Really, she should have just stayed in Marine. Whether all this would have happened, she wouldn't have lost Jorah. She wouldn't have lost Missandei. I think she would have been a much more stable character with the people around her that she's lost. Maybe she was always going to go crazy. It could have been inevitable. I don't know. That's up for debate, I guess. But the people who say this is out of character, it's bad writing, it's come from nowhere. I mean, wake up, guys, okay? I know your favorite character turned bad. It sucks. But it's, comparable. Let's look at Star Wars. I mean, I put out this tweet comparing Daenerys Targaryen to Anakin Skywalker. And first off, I don't think I've ever got as many likes and retweets on anything ever since I've been on Twitter all these years. So, pretty amazing to me. But, imagine, for instance, Anakin Skywalker, obviously let's take the original trilogy out of it. Let's just look at episode 1, episode 2, and then all these seasons of Clone Wars. Person coming into it fresh, like, all right, Anakin Skywalker, he's a hero, Yeah, he's done a couple of questionable things, like kill the Tusken Raiders, but, it was he's a hero, blah, blah, blah. And then you get to episode 3, and he goes dark side. And they're like, what? Why? This is totally out of left field. It's totally against, like, dude, he slaughtered women and children, okay? He nearly beat Clovis to death when he was, with Padme. What else? The way, he's very protective of Ahsoka. I mean, the Mortis trilogy, let's look at kind of that, okay? What kind of was we saw inside of him there? It's the same thing. It's the same thing as Danny. You saw all the signs. They're all there. And it's a tragedy. The tragedy of Daenerys Targaryen is what this has become. It's Shakespearean. It's a Greek tragedy. All those tragedies, whichever country you come from. But and that's how you know it's a good story. I mean, it's the long game. Benioff and Weiss played the long game with it, and yes, it sucks. It sucks that a character who seemed so cool and so good had her downfall. But that's how you know that the writers and the actress did their job, because people care so passionately about it. Now, my one criticism, really my thing I didn't like, 100% didn't like in the episode, was the end of Euron Greyjoy. When he shows up on the shores with Jaime Lannister and they're fighting, first off, Jaime doesn't deserve to go out like that. He doesn't deserve to go out like a punk by Euron Greyjoy. And everyone wanted Yara to defeat Euron. I get it. I think it would have been justified. I think that's what I would have wanted. But, Yara is back on the islands. I would like to have much rather seen Euron, try to go back and take the Iron Islands back from Yara. And, the people are totally against him, and she ends up killing him, or they end up killing him. I think that would be kind of a more, poetic way to go out. This little thing with Jaime Lannister, it was a scuffle. I mean, the character was nowhere near the villain as Ramsay or Joffrey. He was interesting. He was kind of a filler just to get us to the end of the series, I think is what it was. And the way he went out, it wasn't great. It wasn't great, but really, when you look at the character, he didn't deserve much more, in my opinion. Everyone thought Theon was going to kill him. Well, that didn't happen. Yara was going to kill him. That didn't happen. Jaime, of course, saw him as a threat when going to Cersei. So the fact that, he didn't kill Jaime either, I would have been super pissed off. I mean, technically he did, but I would have been super pissed off if he would have actually killed Jaime. Speaking of the one-handed man and his sister, people, of course, are upset the way that Cersei went out. Cersei's done a lot of horrible things throughout the series, so people wanted her to die horribly. People wanted Jaime to kill her, being the Queen Slayer is what he would be known as then. And to that I say, people, again, I get that. If you want her to go out horribly, I'm not as against that as I am what Dany did to King's Landing. Okay, I'm not as against that. I mean, for a while there, I thought Jaime really was like in the end, and sort of instead of them being crushed by the rocks, I thought he was going to save her the pain and just stab her or something. But that would have been kind of really bad considering that his child technically was inside of her. And a while there, I didn't think she was pregnant. I thought that whole line back at the end of last season where she told him that she was pregnant was just kind of a lie, a desperate plea to get him to stay, to where Jaime was the last one she had and he left her. Then when she told Euron that she was pregnant, I kind of believed it. Then I knew there was a baby and it was Jaime, so I totally understand that. But getting back to it, Jaime stabbing her and killing her, he would have been killing his own kid, which Jaime's too noble now to do that. And then, of course, people are questioning his nobility now because of the fact that he did go back to her. But this is who he's loved his entire life. Yes, he's in love with Brienne too, I think. But you just don't forget a woman like Cersei Lannister who, again, you've spent your whole life with, you've loved your whole life. You just don't get over that with a new fling. It's what it is. He felt loyalty to her even in death. And I understand that. It doesn't mean I like it. But I understand it. And as far as Cersei's death, some people are saying maybe Jaime led her down there to die. I don't really believe that, again, because I still think he actually genuinely loves her. The way she went out, people wanted her to go out horribly because they say she's such a monster. She's the villain. It was around season 4 that I really learned who Cersei Lannister was. And when you look at it, she's just a woman who's loved her children and tried to survive. She was a woman in a powerful household, and her father was a very powerful person, and she did whatever he told her to do. And one of those things, was, of course, still marrying Robert Baratheon, even though he was in love with someone else. That was a very abusive relationship for her, both physically and mentally, which is another reason why she, gravitated more towards Jaime in her life. And, losing her children, of course, when she lost Tomlin, was that his name? The last one that died? A woman who loses all 3 of her children. Yeah, and it's much like, look at Dany, she lost, everyone she cared about, and yeah, maybe she went a little crazy, and that's what happened to Cersei, but I would never see her as a monster because everything she's done was, I feel like, very rational as far as a person that was being taken. The way she killed Robert, well, that wasn't a good relationship, the way he treated her. I can understand that, especially if, her son was going to sit on the throne, and, that was something that she was looking forward to, The way her daughter died, of course she's going to take the sand snakes and just kill them. It was her daughter. And then, of course, the way that she was treated by the High Scepter, all those people got to go. All of them, I get it. I get everything she's done. She's done it for her family. She's done it for her house. I understand that. So when people say they want her to go out very violently because she's such a monster, I don't see it that way. She was going to die no matter what. And I think she's too good of a character, too sympathetic of a character to go out as horribly as, say, Ramsay or Joffrey, because those guys were monsters, okay? There was nothing redeemable about either of them. There was a lot redeemable in Cersei Lannister. Okay, my next point of Varys. This is a guy who, when the show started, we weren't sure what his intentions were. As it went on, we know he just wanted what was good for the realm. He was writing some notes at the beginning of this episode. He wrote, several notes. The last one he burned, of course, but he wrote several. Where did they go? I don't know. Could be their houses. In my suspicion, I'm thinking maybe he sent one up north, knowing what was about to happen to him, knowing what was about to happen to King's Landing in some way or form. I think, he sent one up north, and maybe Sansa and Bran are rallying what's left of the north to come down, perhaps. I honestly, I hope that's what's going to happen because I want Brienne to have a better moment than what we last saw her. The last we saw her, she was crying because Jaime was leaving her. That's not the send off Brienne of Tarth should have. Sir, Brienne of Tarth should have. Okay, a knight now. She should not have that kind of send off. Given how she's acted and the way she's been treated the rest of the series, that should not be the last action we see of her in the series. So I'm hoping, she comes down and kicks some ass, is really what my hope is. So again, very curious what Varys did. I find that scene where he was burned kind of justified, but also a little iffy. Tyrion and Jon, they're not the type of people to just let something like that happen. When Varys, the Queen knew he wanted to protect the realm. That was his goal. That was where his true loyalty lied. And for those two characters who were very noble, very good, to just let this guy burn after really I wouldn't say he conspired against her. I don't know. I mean, I can go either way. I can say, oh, that seemed a little off that they didn't do anything, but at the same time, they're still devoted to their queen, and he did technically do treason. It's wishy-washy, but, the ending, what are you going to do? Burn the guy. It just happens. The Hound in the Mountain. This has been building for a while. Some people seem they were a little let down. I enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know how much more of an epic battle you can have when they're, poking each other's eyes out and stabbing each other multiple times, and then finally go off the cliff. I don't know what more you can get. It kind of went how I imagined it might go. Maybe a little longer, but the mountain's pretty much a zombie, so I didn't see it being too much of a artistic fight. With Arya, the Hound told her to go, and people are like, "Whoa, she got all this way to kill Cersei, and now she's just going to turn around." Yes, she's going to turn around for several points. One, she actually learned that her quest for vengeance or quest for revenge is only going to end in her death, and the Hound made her realize she's better than that. She's better than just a person who is bloodthirsty, I guess you would say. And of course, she survived to the end. Now we have Jon, Davos, and Arya there at King's Landing when the Mad Queen has just decimated the city. And if you, out of everyone, say of the North or of the good guys, that you want to be there in case shit hits the fan, why not have Jon and Arya, two of your most skilled fighters, there? Throw in Brienne, I think you have the best chance of taking out some people. So you had to, not only give her that moment of clarity, but also use her because she's going to take out somebody important in this last episode. And that's why, character-wise it made sense. Plot-wise it made sense to me. If you think differently, of course, fire back. Let me know your reasons. And with the horse, some people are saying it's Bran controlling the horse, trying to save her. I didn't see that. Perhaps, but maybe not. I think it was just a horse. I mean, wasn't that the horse she rode in on? I thought that was the horse she was riding at the end of the last episode, and that she, came in on, and then the horse just happened to survive, and, Arya rides off on the horse. Of course, there was the symbolism where the little girl and her mom, she was trying to save, the girl was holding the white horse. I get the symbolism for that as well. But honestly, she rides off because she's going to save something. Something's going to happen in this last episode that's going to, she's going to be needed. So that's why she survived. Okay, the last point I want to talk about is, of course, Mr. Jon Snow on the ground with the troops. The bells rang, and, the Lannister army laid down their swords. Literally, laid down their swords, said, okay, we get it, we're defeated. But Grey Worm still devoted to his queen, still grieving by the death of his love, the only person he's ever loved, because all he's ever known is war. He starts the battle, and Jon tries to hold the North back, say, no, don't do this. but they were there for a fight, and fight they did. And there's that shot where Grey Worm turns around and sees that Jon is trying to stop him. There might be a little battle in there, Next episode, Grey Worm's still, of course, devoted to his queen, always will be. Jon's gonna have to go against him, and I think Jon's gonna have to take his troops and take control. You saw that at the end of the episode where his troops are devoted to Jon. The only reason they follow Daenerys is because Jon is/was devoted to Daenerys. Jon, he never wanted to be the leader. He never wanted even to be the leader of Casterly Rock, of the Night's Watch. He doesn't want the throne. He doesn't want any of it. And really, again, that's what great leaders are. Great leaders are people who lead not because he wants some. Let me try if I get the quote. There's a quote that I've loved for a while now. That great leaders lead not because they want to, but because somebody must. And that's really what it is. A good leader is someone who doesn't want the power, doesn't seek to be a leader, but people just rally around him, which, goes into the Daenerys thing, is people rallied around her. I'll totally give her that. But she sought the throne. She sought the power. And that's why, I didn't like her as a character that much. I've never really been a big fan of her. Honestly, when I ever used to go rewatch the seasons, I'd skip a lot of Daenerys stuff. I get why people like her. Totally justified. I'm cool with that. But for me, Jon's my favorite character, followed by Bronn, who I loved. In the North, I'm Starks are my family. They're the good guys. I relate to them more than any other house. So that's always been my favorite part of Game of Thrones. It's funny, at the end of season 5, when Jon died, I was like, what? And if he didn't come back, I don't think I would have continued watching Game of Thrones. Just a little bit of truth there. Okay, so to wrap it all up, we're at the end, kids. Last episode, 80 minutes. I really wish we'd get maybe 3 more episodes instead of 1, because I want to see more of this side of Dany. I want to see Emilia Clarke flex this muscle of her acting chops, because I think she's good enough to pull it off. And the character arc, again, I felt has been justified, has been coming, and I want to see more of it. Much like, people want more of Darth Vader, his own movie or whatever, because, yeah, we got Vader, a whole trilogy, but after, what we've seen in the comics and what, he had supposed to be doing all this time between episode 3 and episode 4, and then some, there's a lot more he can do with the character, especially after now that we've given this whole history of the character, thanks to the prequels and the expanded universe and stuff like that. I want to see more of that of Dany too, because I think it's real interesting, but I don't think we're going to get too much of a chance. So she's got a dragon, she's got her Unsullied. Meanwhile, we have Jon, Davos, Arya, and as of right now, the Northern Army is still with Daenerys because Jon hasn't said, no, I turn against her or whatever. Tyrion, of course, is kind of, against her too. So who's going to make it to the end? Here's a couple of wild theories that I've heard about or I've thought about myself that I think could happen. Number 1, she kills Tyrion for letting Jaime go. That's a possibility. I think Jon's going to try to step in somewhere and stop her as well. Whether he's the one that kills her or not, I don't know. But no matter what, I think Dany has to go. I mean, she's the villain. That's just the way it's going to happen. Who's going to go with her? I can see Sir Davos going. I can see, honestly, any of the characters going at this point. My prediction, though, I told this to a couple friends. My prediction, what my goal think could happen, or what I would be satisfied, is Sansa's got the north, Tyrion takes the south, and Arya rides off into the sunset with a dead Dany and a dead Jon, sacrificing himself. People, are talking about how Arya might try to kill Dany. I think that's an obvious there. And if she is unsuccessful, if Dany kills her, Jon's going to kill Dany no matter what. I mean, you take out Arya, Jon is going to go ballistic, and bitch, you gone. Okay? But she's got a dragon. I can see her trying to burn Jon. And Jon walks out of the flames and be like, bitch, I'm a Targaryen. I'm the true Targaryen. You can't burn me. Another thing, of course, like I said, maybe the North's coming with Brienne and Sansa to help Jon out. Maybe Bran, does his little thing and takes over the dragon. I don't see that being a huge favorable possibility, but it's something that could happen as well. But those are a couple things I've thought about. Just some theories. Of course, theories get thrown out the window because that's how good this writing, how good this show is that things that we mortal, lowly fans think might happen don't happen. Other things do happen, and when they do happen, you think about it and you realize, yes, that makes sense, and you know that it's a good show. Good writing. Okay? Fireback, of course, Facebook group, Twitter account, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. If you want to disagree with me on any of these points, I totally get it. I totally get, why people are upset with this episode. I totally get it. Just give me your reasonable explanations as to why. Give me a reasonable answer, which most people do, totally justified. Again, this is, art. And art is subjective. We all get something different out of it. And that's totally fine. That's the fun of it, is talking about it. Talking about our different opinions and, coming at them from a reasonable standpoint and not getting upset just because someone has a different opinion. And really, that's life. But any event, guys, that is it for me today. Of course, Fireback, let me know. Did you get your Dark Phoenix tickets? Did you do anything for X-Men Day? Are you going to get any prep work? Maybe the X-Men animated series? I bought season 3 on Amazon, and I'm looking to at least go through the Phoenix and Dark Phoenix saga before I check out the new film. And of course, Game of Thrones, guys. 1 episode left. What are your predictions? How do you feel about the last episode? It's going to be weird when it ends. It's going to be weird. I'm not going to say it won't be. I think it's going to be really weird. Just watching this last episode, I felt, emotions thinking about it's all coming to an end. So, but that's it, guys. Go out, enjoy your week. Of course, if you've seen Detective Pikachu, let me know what you think about it. And until next time, then, guys, may the Force be with us all.